Hey YouTubers, how you doing? This is Linda. You're watching Fight the Good Fight. I was rushing around trying to get to you before it started to get dark, but I'm a little late. Okay. Now, I am going to talk to you today about everything from A to Z. My experience for 25 years with 3 different relationships back to back, all 3 being a narcissist, had a child by each one. Don't judge me. Anyway, I wanted to read to you, but I pretty much
longer than 6 minutes.
I do have this like almost memorized, which is my average
I'll be
on
able
my
to look at you a lot,
YouTube
so I
videos.
hope
Come on, man, stick it through with me. Alright, here we go. We're just going to get right down to it. This is what they do. The reason narcissism and sociopathic abuse is by far the worst psychological abuse they go through is because the skilled narcissist, with the help of spiritual guidance, is able to intricately and gradually strip their victim from reality, common sense, and ultimately their core, which is their soul. What makes it worse is eventually you'll begin to feel like it's all your fault, like it's self-inflicted. You'll get blamed for everything. They will convince you and everyone else that you are to blame, and that you are doing to them what they are doing to you. So, at the very least, the narcissist will convince you that that's what they believe. 3. But I wasn't able to see through when they really got into their character if they actually believed what they were saying, because it sure seemed like it. But anyway, just saying. Narcissists arrogantly come across as that they're doing you a favor by being with you. You are in their presence, then holier than thou, Mr. Perfectionist or Miss Perfectionist, or whatever. They act like they have to tolerate you, basically. So, that's very confusing when they were just like so into you. The sparkle in their eyes, the way they looked at you was different, the tone of their voice was different, everything was one extreme to the other, different. You are so overwhelmed with confusion, you forget things, you can't make simple decisions. You become clumsy, feeling like a failure, and the harder that you try, the worse that it gets. You want to prove your love. You want it back the way that it was. Most of all, you want to be understood, because you mean well, and you're not what he is accusing you. You're not what he is accusing you of. So you defend and you explain. Well, naturally, because you love that person and you want to make it right. You want to save them from any unnecessary pain, from, a misunderstanding, or the horrific accusations that you have had to endure. Regardless of the faithfulness that was never acknowledged, you stay. If, I'm going to say they instead of he or she, if they haven't accused you of cheating yet, it's coming, believe me. If you take too long at the grocery store because it was a long line, or if you get caught behind a car accident, then you're sleeping with someone else. Your explanations will be twisted. Your goodness will be buried. Your hard work is for nothing. Your generosity will be taken advantage of. And your tardiness means that you're a prostitute. Regardless of the loss, financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, sleep, self-respect, sanity, from any reality sense, to know how off balance the entire relationship has been since the beginning. No, since you were putty in his hands. That's when he knew, or she knew, they had control over you. And you knew the moment that you gave your heart to that person. You know, you remember that. You remember that night. I'll never forget that night. I never will. And really, in a way, life is all about perspective. And it's all in how you see things. And the way that you think, it affects the way that you feel. So if you think that you look at that situation differently, like, oh man, he had me, like I just was so played, and you're just so mad and so hurt. Well, of course you're going to go through those emotions, because those are natural emotions. But believe it or not, and I don't know how this is going to come across and sound or whatever, but it is what it is, so I'm just going to share it with you. I'm actually grateful for that, because I was able to experience that feeling in this life. And even if I know it wasn't real, but I got to experience it. That feeling. Like a lot of people, they've never got to experience. Like, you know how she loves like those old romantic movies that are black and white and just, all into them and everything. Well, I got to live it for a while. It's not to say that all the hell that he put me through was worth it or anything, but I have to say, in a way, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I got to experience it. So anyway, moving along. Okay, so it starts out gradual, talking about the abuse. You live out the perfect night, then here and there they'll throw out a disturbing comment that's ludicrous. Sometimes in front of your friends or family, they're just kind of throw it out there and laugh about it, ha ha ha, yeah, you know how you are, ha ha ha, when really it's a cut down, and it makes you look like crap in front of people, and they're trying to make you feel inferior, make you feel low self-esteem. That's what they're trying to build up in you at this time in the beginning. So what this is it's foreplay for the release of their demons. It's itching and scratching at the door. The narcissist, they cannot retain their anger for very much longer, because all this niceness and everything, it's not their style. You want to believe that there's good in him or her, that that because you've seen it, you know that it was real. I'm very sorry to tell you this, I really am, but you are in denial, and I went through it also, because that was 100% fake. No part of it was in it. And we're talking about narcissists here, okay? They have a pattern. Their brains form differently. God says their conscience has been seared with a hot iron. Don't even argue with those fools, because they will take your prudent words and they will trample all over them, and they will tear them into pieces. Okay, those are the kind of people that we're talking about, and they are in a category. There's no ways around it. There's no way to make excuses for them anymore, because they're sucking the life out of you, and you're letting them. You're giving everything that you have to this person, because you would lay down your life for them. And that's usually how we are, and what we do when we give our heart to somebody. We're basically telling them, I trust you with this, and I'm there for you, and I would die for you. I would die for you. And that's basically what we're doing. So you don't want to die for somebody that played you from the beginning. This person is absolutely pathetic and desperate to feel alive. The way that they feel alive is to watch you suffer. I'm not kidding. They take pleasure in it. So, and I've seen it, like I said, I've dealt with narcissism for 25 years, and I've dealt with overt and the covert. And they're a lot very different in a lot of ways, but not in a lot of ways. I mean, they use the same tactics. They're basically, when it comes down to it, they do things for the same reason, but they kind of go about it a different way. That's a good way to explain it. That is a good way to explain it. They do things, they go about differently to get the same result. So I think I just had an epiphany. So anyway, from this point to the end, unconsciously, you will be in the state of mind to work diligently for the way that it was in the beginning. You want it so bad that you actually believe that it will be all the hell, believe it'll be worth all the hell that you are going through. Because you have hope, because you keep thinking you're like the horse chasing the carrot. You keep thinking that, I'll get there if I can just get him to understand. If unaware of the reason of the extreme highs and the extreme lows were because the higher that you were lifted, they knew that the harder and longer that you would fall. That's what built up. It reminds me of a roller coaster that is doing that clickety clank, 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 going up up real slow, and then all of a sudden, when you get to the top, then you just start going. I think I've thought about that, and I think that's what a narcissist actually goes through when they're love bombing us, because they don't enjoy that part of the relationship. They feel like they're going to explode because they've been trying to be so good and everything for such a long period of time. And so I think that's kind of the build-up. But that's what it was. That's what I picture anyway, because I'm a visual. I can picture things that way. So the pureness and the innocence in this case is your worst enemy, because it has left you ignorant of this evil so close. It's like we don't believe, because we don't think that way, or we don't feel that way, so we kind of see other people for how we feel or how we think that we would take things or whatever. But see, that's our mistake. We can't do that, because they don't think like this. They don't think like us, and they don't feel like us at all. So you're seeing it, you're looking at it dead in its face, but you don't recognize it for what it is. Because that would mean that you would have to admit that the best feeling that you ever had in your life was a lie. That's tough. That's a tough one. See, that's the hump that you got to get over. In my opinion, in my strong, educated opinion, that would be the number one step, and a necessity to take that step, to be able to go through the proper healing steps for total healing. I think if you skip over that step, the denial, you're in a standstill, really. You got to go back to square one before you can get to the other, because you won't ever see things for what they are if you don't realize that the entire relationship was a lie. Like if you think, well, he had to have meant it, a little bit, or because he was so convincing, and he's so affectionate, and it was so awesome, and it was. I mean, if it wasn't, come on, will we put up with this much crap if it wasn't? Come on now. So, yeah, we do have to come to grips with that. It was just to reel us in, basically. Whenever they put up a front or whatever, that's why they can't get rid of that feeling. That's actually how a narcissist turned into a narcissist. is because they couldn't accept their pain and their hurt as their own, and then they project it on other people. That's why. But see, our pain and suffering is it's what enables us to look at the situation and learn from it, so we don't go through that again. That's how normal people learn, is through pain. That's the biggest motivator. But see, we need to go through that pain. It's a necessity to go through that pain. We got to go through it. Actually, maybe even embrace it. That sounds crazy, I know, but if you don't, and if you just know that you're in a bad mood and you want to, kick your dog or take it out on your kids or whatever, you're not dealing with it, and you're going to continue feeling that way, and the people around you is going to be miserable, and you're going to be miserable, and you're not going to know why. And that is in itself living in hell, I think. You're going to be one of those people that, nobody shows up at the funeral, and, you gotta back up, rewind yourself, and go back to square one and figure it out, and be the kind of person that leaves a smile on people's faces, and that they remember you for good. And I'm talking to myself too, yeah. I need to learn, I'm not all that perfect or anything either, but I'm willing to look at it and analyze it and try to fix it if I see it. Sometimes I catch myself, sometimes I don't see I'm even doing it when I'm doing it until later, when anger or frustration subsides, and then I look back and see, oh man, I was just frustrated because I had a bad day and I took it out on my son, and I'll go to him and I'll apologize. I'm wrong. It lifts you up in that other person's eyes when we can admit and tell them we're wrong and apologize. Some people feel like if we admit that we're wrong, that it demeans ourselves, and oh, we made a mistake, God forbid, we're just so perfect, It's the worst thing that you can do, is just pretend like, nothing happened. Oh, it's a June bug. It scared the crap out of me. I didn't know what it was. I think it's about time to get all the creepy crawlers and everything's coming out. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because I'm seeing stuff. Yeah, there's a bunch of creepy crawlers out. So I might do a little bit inside or whatever, but anyway, just in case I don't, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Fight the good fight. This is to be continued. This is a good while. So, I have a lot of information here, and I can't wait to share it with you. And, we are the true warriors. Fight the good fight. Fight the good fight.